Hello and welcome to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. Today I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer Emmet Gates to discuss yesterday's game, Liverpool against Manchester City. It was a 2-2 draw. Probably not the result both sides would have wanted, but it's a result both sides will take. Is that right, Emmet?
Yeah, I think on reflection, the 2-2 draw kind of was the best result. Not that the result that any side would have wanted, but I think on reflection of how the game went, I'd say it was a fair result on both sides. It was a great game to the neutral, but if you happen to be a fan of either side, your heart rate is probably just about come down from yesterday. But yeah, it was a game that had everything, and I think when you look over the course of the 90 minutes, the way it went, Liverpool maybe slightly more lucky to leave with a point considering how the first half kind of ended. But yeah, I think on reflection, the 2-2 draw, obviously it's not the result that either Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola would have wanted. But I think given how the game went, I'd say a 2-2 draw is about fair.
Yeah, from a Liverpool perspective, especially. I mean, when Riyad Mahrez went through on goal towards the end, everyone had their hearts in their mouths for sure. There's a big moment for City and maybe one that Liverpool got away with. But at the end of the day, they're still in the running and anything is still possible.
Yeah, I don't really know. I know what we all know what Mahrez was trying, but when it happened, I thought that's taking a deflection and went over the bar. But then when it showed the replay, it didn't. He just scooped it and it went up and up and up. And it was nowhere. It was nowhere near the goal. But yeah, at that moment, you're like, oh no, is this going to be 3-2, right? Like, and Liverpool with no chance to respond. But in saying that, that could be those are the moments that a title, change hinge on. And we could look back in retrospect in 2 months' time and say that was maybe the moment where City could have won it, didn't win it, and then whatever happens over the next couple of weeks, Liverpool could overturn it and end up winning the league. And it could all hinge on that one moment where Mahrez just didn't put his foot through the ball and score. He's trying to be too clever for his own good. Yeah, so it could, we could look back and think that moment is the moment that changed everything.
Yeah, with such a tight race, it's such fine margins that determine, the end outcome. I think, in that 2018-19 season that everyone talks about, the thing that we discuss is John Stones' clearance when Liverpool were quite literally inches away from scoring against Manchester City, and that could have tilted the title in their favour. And then who knows? Let's hope so that we'll be talking about this Mahrez moment. I think when it comes to Mahrez, he seems to have a trend with Liverpool for Manchester City. Anyway, I don't think he scored against Liverpool in City colours, and he missed that penalty at Anfield a couple of seasons ago in a different game. So yeah, we'll have Mahrez to thank for a lot, hopefully by the end of the season.
Yeah, you talk about fine margins as well. Patterson's shimmy slash dummy slash whatever it was he was trying, he stopped the ball right on the line. If he fumbles again and the ball goes into the net, again that's another. We're talking about fine margins. That's another moment. If that had went Liverpool's way, Liverpool could have won potentially yesterday, and then we're sitting there talking today on the top of the table. So yeah, as you say, it is just at this level between these two teams is just the ultra fine margins.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier how probably Liverpool will take the draw more than City. It felt like City had more control in the game for me. Do you think that's right? Do you think, and why do you think that was, if that's the case?
Yeah, I do. I think Liverpool. It wasn't a vintage Liverpool performance by any means. Especially in the first half, I think they struggled. I think Liverpool's midfield struggled in the first half. Fabinho was awful in the first half, and obviously we've all seen the tackle that he I can't remember, who was the player? and he went in on their ankle. Like he could have very luckily, he could have been sent off for that. So I think midfield was a problem for Liverpool in the first half, and City were just controlling. When it comes to the modern game, I think midfield is usually the key battle. Whoever wins the midfield battle wins control of the game, especially when you've a team like City who are very good ball players. If they have a lot of the ball, the other team's going to be on the back foot. And I think for large portions of that first half, that is where City were in control. I think obviously going to half time and then second half Liverpool were much improved. Fabinho was a lot better. And Liverpool then gained a greater control of the game. But I think when it got to the very end, you do feel that Liverpool probably would have been happy with the 2-2 draw considering how bad they were in the first half.
Go
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think as well, one of the biggest factors in the game, which I noticed, is the way City pressed Liverpool. Yeah. They were very good at closing them down and smothering them, especially in Liverpool's own final third, defensive third. And I think Guardiola said that, he learnt from the best, making a reference to playing like Liverpool they do. And that was a factor that Liverpool have to prepare for, because now there's the potential of, facing potentially Manchester City in the Champions League final if Liverpool get through, and also an FA Cup semi-final next weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean, this could be just the start of, an extra 2 or 3 games against City. So, yeah, I mean, and you make a very good point. City were doing to Liverpool what Liverpool do to pretty much every other team, and just smother, their defence and force them into mistakes. And I think Liverpool's backline maybe they're not used to it, because teams don't do that to Liverpool. Liverpool do that to other teams. So I think they found it difficult initially, and then obviously that bled into midfield, and we saw more in the second half with Diogo getting on the ball more. Fabinho was kind of keeping the shape a lot more, and I don't think City's press worked as much in the second half. But yeah, I mean, it was, when you compare Liverpool's first half to the second half, I think Jurgen Klopp can be happy with the way the game ended. But as you say, Liverpool are going to have to get used to it now, because there's another big game on Saturday, and then could be a potential Champions League final at the end of May.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be the string of some, exciting games ahead for Liverpool. Obviously, first there's the visit of Benfica to Anfield, but the trip at Wembley. Do you think Liverpool will play a rotational side against City in that semi-final, or will we see the same strong starting 11? Considering, Liverpool have the fortune of potentially having a better lead against Benfica, and obviously Benfica, that visit from Benfica is at Anfield, whereas with Manchester City they have to travel abroad to Madrid, and they face a more trickier opponent in Atletico Madrid, and the tie is certainly more balanced in that one. Do you think, as a result of that, Liverpool will play a stronger starting 11 than in comparison to Manchester City?
Yeah, I think so. I think the 2-goal breather that Liverpool have against Benfica, kind of, especially with the game at Anfield, puts them in a position where they can, Jurgen Klopp can rotate, and I would expect him to rotate. You may see the likes of Divock Origi maybe come back in, and I don't think we'll see like a Carabao Cup-esque lineup, but I think it will be a mix. Maybe Konate will come back in, and Joe Gomez might make an appearance. We will see Jurgen Klopp definitely will rotate. In the second leg against Benfica, where City really don't have that luxury, because A, there's only 1 goal in it, and B, they're playing Atletico in Spain, and that's got to be an absolute battle for City. There's going to be no questions about it. So definitely, Liverpool have got it easier in that regard, and they've got a 2-goal cushion. So I expect Klopp to go, for the FA Cup semi, he's going to go with basically more or less the side I think that you saw yesterday.
Yeah, some interesting decisions ahead, and when after that, there's the prospect of facing Manchester United and Everton in the Premier League as Liverpool's next two fixtures. So some very exciting fixtures ahead, and exciting times for Liverpool.
We're in the business end of the season now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that about wraps it up for today. We discussed as much as we could about Manchester City, and hopefully we'll have a morning stream come the end of the season where we're talking about Liverpool lifting the Premier League title and the Premier League trophy being decorated in red and white ribbons, but we shall see. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks Emmet for joining me. Make sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today and all the written content on liverpool.com. Thank you.